Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Call number 32. Super excited. This is slightly different. Usually the people that I bring on the call are people that I know, but today our guest is a friend of a friend. You recall a couple weeks ago, Brian, who just did 50K. I want to say shout out to him. I've been shouting him out for a while, but we made a special video for him, and we've been sending him a lot of love, but he did 50K in August. Me, Louie, a lot of the New Jersey, PA people have been out in the streets with him. So congratulations to him. But he connected me with another titan in the RA space, Vernon Johns. And, I had a chance to have a quick conversation with him today. And I'm so excited that we put this call together. Really, he's been grinding really hard since he got out of the military. He's done a lot of work to get himself out of debt, to really make a better life for his family. And I don't want to kind of give away his story. I'll let him tell it to you, but super intrigued by what he's done, what he's overcome. Obviously, I want to say thank you for the service, but he is going to really help us understand how to really grind on RA, how to make it work for you and scale, to turn it into your full-time income if that's something you're looking for, or a really lucrative side hustle. So with that, I'm going to introduce Vernon Johns. Welcome him to the call, and we'll get this thing started.
All right. Thank you, Omar, for having me, man. I really appreciate it. And thank you for everybody for taking the time to kind of tune in tonight and just hear what we have to say. This is absolutely one of my favorite things to do in the business, is just get around people that are like-minded and just kind of, share stories and share ideas and stuff, and just kind of pick up tips and tricks of the trade. So it's a pleasure to be here, man.
Perfect. So what I want to do, just for folks who are getting a sense of who you are, why they should be thinking about listening to the strategies, tips, and tricks that you're going to bring to us. Give us a little bit of your background, how you got started, a little bit of your background in the military, and then we'll get into some of the details of what the things you're doing today are.
Sure. So I started my military career back in 2009. I went to college and tried that for a couple of years, and then joined the military, and then just kind of focused on that for a good bit, and then met my wife in 2017, and we were both in debt. We both had, vehicle payments, credit card debt, the normal American life and everything. And we got together, and we were really good for each other. And we started to try to find ways kind of out of that cycle, because, that's what you see a lot as the typical Americans, is like buy as much as you possibly can and stuff like that. And we had kind of fallen into that trap. So we decided that we're going to do something together and just kind of dig out of the hole. So we started with liquidation lots, like going to buying pallets and stuff like that, selling physical sales. And then I took a class actually in the military. I'm forever thankful for all the things I've learned in the military. But one of the classes that they sent me to for free was called Boots to Business, where they brought in entrepreneurs that actually taught us like how to start our own business, what that would take, and just kind of took a lot of the question out of it of like, is this possible for us? So I got the belief that it was possible. So we started in business. I got sent to recruiting duty in the military, which, if anybody knows anything about that, it's very demanding job, lots of long hours and stuff. And our physical sales that we were doing together, our first business that we had started, I knew that I wasn't going to have the time to be able to kind of do that. I didn't have the full time or even like a few hours a day to be able to do that, because I was so tied up with the military stuff going on. So came across some videos. Reezy Resales was one of the first guys that I was following, and just kind of learned about the FBA model and how you could actually send stuff into Amazon, and I could buy back my time, my freedom on that. And so introduced that to my wife. We got our LLC, and we started out flipping books. Did that for about 6 months, was pretty successful with that, and then just kind of moved into some other things. In 2023, I met Miles, and that completely changed my life. Again, it took a huge step forward. Started working with him, and at the time we were doing about $6 to $8 grand in sales a month. And then after a short time of working with him, we moved up to about 30 grand that we were doing a month. And then fast forward to today, we're doing between 60 and 70,000 every month between Walmart and Amazon now. So full-time income. I got out of the military last year, and was fortunate enough to be able to retire from that. And then we stepped right into our business was built up enough to where we could do this thing full-time together. So now we travel the United States. We do RA mostly, get into a little bit of wholesale now. We do some online arbitrage, but I would say about 90% of our business right now is just retail arbitrage. And a big part of that is because of the cash flow with it is awesome with the ROI that you get from RA. It's higher than anything else that I've seen. And then also just the freedom to be able to travel, and your business basically pays for all of that stuff. Your hotels, your food, and everything's covered because it's business trips that you're taking. And that's just such a powerful thing to be able to take your kids and be able to go experience the world and work at the same time. We absolutely love doing that. So that's pretty much my story there.
Perfect. I love it. So help me, right? I love the early part of your story and that journey. Reezy Resells, we were talking about him a little bit earlier in the call. So shout out to him. That's a great guy with another great story. But once you got to Miles, right? Because I think that's where, it was kind of a hockey stick moment. You got your leverage and you kind of slingshot it up to where you kind of got to today. Like what changed? What did Miles do for you, or what did you change in your business that allowed you to really 5x your business, pretty quickly?
Yeah, so it was a few things. He has a good structured program. If anybody hasn't looked into that, he does actually have a really good structured program to be able to get you from point A to point B to point C. And I really like that. But I would say the biggest thing that changed for me was just tweaking a couple small things in my business and some stuff that I was overlooking. I knew how to use Keepa, but I didn't have the in-depth knowledge that I have now with it. And that's one of the most powerful tools that you'll have in your business. If you can understand the ins and outs of Keepa and how to just pull up products on demand and how to storefront stock using Keepa and stuff, that is such a powerful tool. So I learned a lot of that from him. And then getting around people like Omar, getting around people like my good friend Brian now, just being around people that are playing at a high level is something that I didn't have before I joined that group. And now I talk to people that are, several millions of dollars, every year that they're doing in their business. And it's just insane. I just actually got back from a conference a couple of months ago, and I was around people that were doing wholesale, and they were doing between 10 and 15 million a year. And it's like, man, if you're around people like that long enough, you can't help but go to that next level, because you're going to pick up ideas and you're just going to push yourself further than you would. Because honestly, I thought 6 to 8 grand was okay, in sales a month. I didn't know any better because I wasn't around high level players. And then once I realized that people were doing this at a high level and that I wasn't that far off from completely changing my business, you can't help but level up. So I would say it was the community, and then just having a structured coach that's actually going to guide you from step to step is so important.
Perfect. Now, I hear you talk about Keepa.
Sorry,
now,
I don't understand.
I use Keepa a lot when I'm doing my OA. Talk to me about how Keepa fits into your business. Is that just something you do when you're doing the bit of OA that you're doing, or explain that to me?
Yeah, so RA. So if you're taking notes, this is probably going to be one of the key things that you want to lock in on. So it doesn't matter where you live in the United States, you have some sort of retail businesses around you. It could be Dollar General, it could be a Lowe's, it could be a Walmart, whatever the case. Well, the secret is that each of these stores, so take Walmart, for instance, they have over 30 brands that are just their brands that they sell. Great Value being one of those, just an easy example. So what I would do if I was anybody trying to source at Walmart, if you have one that's close to your house, is pull up all the listings on Keepa that have Great Value, right? And then look at the sellers that are actually selling that, who's been selling those products the longest, look at their storefronts, get some ideas, write down some ideas of some different things that could be profitable, and then either look on the Walmart website or actually go into the store and try to find those items. And you don't need to find all of their items. You just need to find one item, and then you just rinse and repeat that cycle. And that's what I do in my business is you go back to the drawing board and you say, okay, I found this coffee that is profitable and it's at a good price I would like. Who else is selling that? And then you pull up all those storefronts. Then you build another list. Then you go back to Walmart, or you go on the website, however you do your business, and you just continue to build a list like that you can actually like replan those items. So a lot of new people, they'll go to the clearance aisle, right? And that's the only aisle that they actually hit whenever they go to a store. And there can be some good items there. There's nothing wrong with that. I just cleaned up Legos. Like, I can sell Lego, and Walmart and Target just like were giving them away this summer. It was insane. So I definitely hit up a lot, to be able to take advantage of that. But you could go down any aisle. You could go down beauty. You could go down food, whatever the case. And once you have these lists of sellers that are successful at Walmart, you're searching those same items and stuff like that. You start building up your catalog of items that you could actually replenish. And that's huge. That's the whole game right there. So then once you master Walmart, then you move on to Lowe's, or maybe you have a Home Depot around you, or whatever store you want to actually source. You find those brands and you just continue to build your catalog. And that's how I've gotten to be able to do 60 to 70 grand a month, is just I have a catalog of items, and it really doesn't change that much from year to year. Every season, every November and December, people are going to be buying toys for their kids. It doesn't really change. Every winter, people are going to need winter jackets. Every summer, people are going to be wearing flip-flops. Like it doesn't change that much from year to year. So once you have your list built up, then you can really grow into a business that can sustain you and that you can make a good living for your family with. So
perfect. Now, I want to touch on this. We have folks at different levels on a call. You got somebody like Brian who's been really crushing it for a really long time, and so he's got great experience. But often I come up against people who are just getting started, who may not think that they can do RA. They may be scared of it. If you talk about when you started, were you excited about RA? Was it something that terrified you? How'd you feel about scanning things? Like, how did you get started with RA?
Yeah, so honestly, I've always been kind of a nerd and just really liked learning. I just love the game. Honestly, if I got paid nothing and somebody just paid for my gas to go travel and my food and stuff like that, I would do this for free. I truly would, because I just absolutely love playing the game. I'm trying to do this for as long as possible. And so whenever I went into it, I was just like, okay, I know that I'm going to suck. Like anything that you do in life, you're not going to be great whenever you first start out. So if you're new to this, just understand that it's going to be a process, and you're going to fail a lot more than you succeed whenever you first start out. And that's just part of the game. You're just getting in the reps. Just like if you go to the gym, you're not going to have huge biceps the first time that you do curls. It takes, days and months and years to actually build that body that you want to build. Amazon's the same way. It takes, weeks and months and years to actually build that business that you can look back and be proud of. And so for me, I just loved the learning of it, the learning aspect. Get around people that are actually doing it. So not people that are talking about it or complaining about it. Get around people that are highly motivated to go out and actually do this thing and work. And luckily, I do have Brian, and I have some other friends in my life that they're doing this thing all the time. So if you're around people like that, you're going to go out and you're just going to say, okay, I may be shy to scan every item or whatever the case, or I may not feel like working today, but I know that these other people are in the trenches. They're building their business, so I'm going to build my business as well. So I would just say just start. And if you're brand new to this thing, you need to be actually doing the thing more than watching videos on the thing. This is important to come and get the information and everything, but you have to soak up the information tonight, and then tomorrow go out to a store and start scanning stuff and start figuring this thing out. That's really what it takes, is you have to actually apply that discipline to be able to actually go through the reps as soon as possible. Because if you're just watching videos all the time, you're gonna build up this huge exaggeration in your mind that you can't do this. But if you just start taking the steps and everything, you'll see very quickly that it is something that you can do, and you can be successful at this if you put in the work. So,
absolutely.
Long answer, but I mean, I'm just super
passionate
passionate about, taking the action and like actually doing this thing.
No, it's important. And you talk about something that I mentioned probably on every call that we have is really about reps. And I always bring up my son, and he plays baseball. Just got to get those swings and got to get those reps in. And as you get more comfortable, it's a lot easier to get this stuff done. And I'll use us. We have a sourcing group, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Maryland, Virginia, and we go out. And we went out one time, which I think is a really great example. There were 7 of us, and it was nuts. It was mass chaos in the grocery outlet. Just 7 of us in one aisle, had the whole thing blocked. And we probably took, Louis was there. I don't know if anybody else on the phone was there. But a bunch of us were there, and we were all scanning. We scanned like the whole store, and we were in there for like an hour, 45 minutes, by far the longest I'd ever been in a store. But what happened is, as we went to other grocery outlets, we were there 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 30 minutes, 25 minutes. So even just in one day, we were able to, kind of increase what we understood about the stores, what products made sense. We were going in each store looking for good products. So, if you get out there, you do the work. Brian and Louis went on a 8 store run. I think we added a store in the middle. And we were just in and out. We would get into TJ Maxx, grab all the book bags, get out, go to the next store. We probably spent more time driving to each of the stores than we did inside of the stores. So if you are worried, I didn't start RA really until this year, and I did it with a partner. That made it a lot easier. I'm not worried about people staring at me. I'm not worried, do they think I'm stealing? It looks like maybe I'm with my girlfriend or with my friend, and we're just having a conversation. So that's one piece of advice I give to you. If you're worried about RA, go out with a friend. They might know more about the store. It's easier to get through it. And by the time you look up, an hour's gone. So I think that's fantastic. So if we talk about when you go into a store, like, what are your systems in place? As we didn't mention this a little bit earlier, but you're on pace this year to do $1 million. Right. Yep. And at that type of scale, I wonder, what are the systems that you have in place, and, kind of how did you get there? Is this something you were just really good about in the beginning, or have you added on systems and VAs and things of that nature over time?
Yeah, so I'm definitely nobody that is special. I'm just a product of putting in the reps and building relationships. If you're good to people, usually most people will be good back to you. And so all the stores that I go in, like the major stores that I have like around my area, and then on the routes that I actually take, I know the store manager. I know all the employees. I'll have Starbucks gift cards with me, and I'll hand those out. Anybody that was like helpful, that day at the store, like they helped me with a coupon that I didn't know about or whatever the case, like I'll actually hand those out and give them to them. And I just try to be nice to everybody and just kind of make sure that, if the stores are trying to hit like a certain amount of sales numbers, or just ask them about their day or something like that, just really building those relationships with the people, because they have goals and dreams and aspirations just like we do. They're just trying to make it through their day and get home to their family or whatever the case. And that has really opened up a lot of doors for me. And then, just like I said, the major tip is just have the answers to the test, right? So for Walmart, like if I had a list of like 20 items that I'm going in for, it's just like having a grocery list. I know that on the coffee aisle, I'm looking for this specific amount of coffee, like a 2-pack or a 3-pack or whatever the case. I make sure that the math actually adds up with that. And then I'm buying those items. And then whenever I go home, I'm studying those items, and I'm like, all right, this item actually worked out. I got it from this seller. What other stuff do they have? You make another list, and then you just rinse and repeat. And I would say document your journey as well as something that's really benefited me. So like, we're in September right now. I know all the cheat codes to September. Like, I know what's going to happen this month. I know what my targets are, how much money I'm going to spend on like each type of product and stuff like that. Like, I already have a lot of those answers figured out, because I did it last year. I did it the year before. I did it the year before. And I just write down notes. This store is going to have this sale in September. This store is going to have most likely this coupon that I can use in September. And then, we have Black Friday coming up. There are certain stores that are like really good for that. So just if you're in year one, say you're starting in September, or you just started, this summer in July or whatever the case, for every month moving forward, just write down some notes that you'll actually keep and look at next year. It could be in your phone or on your computer. And then next year, you're not starting from zero. You don't have to wonder everything that's going on, because the stores that are your favorite that you want to shop, you know that they're going to drop Lego. Like before the Lego drop happened, I already knew because I'd already done that 3 years in a row. It was just a matter of what exact day it's actually going to hit, and then just making sure that I'm prepared to take advantage of that. And now, like, I know that, fleece, sweatpants, jackets, that stuff's all coming in. People are starting to buy those things. I'm already prepared for that as far as like for clothing. If you are in toys and you're ungated for some toy categories, now would be a good time to start stocking up. There's a lot of good deals out there right now. And then in a couple months, like November, December timeframe, that stuff you cannot keep in stock. I've never bought an amount of Legos and not sold through those in December before Christmas. It's never happened. Every single Lego set that I've ever got is completely gone. And that could be the same with, like if you sell Barbie or you sell like different type of toys and stuff like that, that stuff's going to go crazy. So if you write down notes and you know exactly what stores to go hit, your second year, your third year, your fourth year, it's just going to continue to get easier and easier for you. And now, like, me and my wife are at a position where we're working the least amount of hours that we've ever worked, and we're making the most amount of money that we've ever made. And that could be anybody's story if you actually document the journey and if you actually take those steps every year just to make things easier on yourself. So
now, Sean, you asked a question. I think we hit it a little bit about scanning everything and trying to figure out how to make that work. Are you good there? You need some?
No, I'm good. I tried to delete it. I was going to say, Jack.
No, you're all good. You're all good. I just want to make sure. I mean, I thought we covered it, but I just wanted to make sure that you were good. And for everybody. So a bunch of people have joined since we started. So if you want access to the notes, I'll have those available. Just drop your email in the chat. And also you can either raise your hand or you can drop a question in the chat and we'll get that answered for you. So actually, I mean, it's a good time to transition. Anybody? Oh, okay. Go ahead, Sean.
So Vernon, you said that, like, for example, Walmart, right? It's best to find the best kind of products that they're selling and make a small list, like you said, like a grocery list, and then go there. Because I find when I'm scanning so many things, and I'm kind of getting exhausted because I'm just randomly scanning, or I go to certain sections, obviously. But is it just better to come with a small list of things that that is good? Like for me, Cuddle Duds has sold. I'm not amazing, but it's sold decently, so there's a few things at Walmart, right?
Yeah. So I honestly, I could go into any store and I never just randomly scan things anymore, because I think a lot of the money has just gotten dwindled so much out of that, because that's what everybody teaches. And that's what a lot of new people do, is they just go through and scan everything. A lot of your money is found in like bundling things, which you're not going to find scanning a barcode, because it's going to be a completely different barcode if it's a 2-pack or a 3-pack. Does that make sense as far as that?
Yeah.
And then, but I always have the answers to the test before I go. And then if I see something that's similar to an item that I've already gotten, then I'll maybe scan a few things or whatever the case. But usually nowadays, like, I just have a shopping list and then I just go to those stores and I already know what's going to hit. The only exception to that, and it's a really fun store for me because you never know what you're going to find, it's just Ollie's with selling on Walmart or eBay. Ollie's is super good for both of those platforms. And that's just because their inventory turns over so often, right? They don't really sell the same things consistently. But for like a Walmart or a Lowe's or a grocery outlet or whatever the case, it's going to be very similar stuff every time you go. So what I would do if I were you, Sean, is I would take your very best ASIN that you have right now. You don't have to share that with anybody or whatever, but just in your own private time, just take and for anybody here, this is a super pro tip that has helped me so much, is just take your best item from that store and then find all the sellers that are selling that, and then use Keepa, scan all of their stores, pull out their best items, make you a list of that, and then go back to that store with that list and then see what you could find. And then it's going to be super important when you find that item, find what sellers actually had that item, right? So say like seller B had 3 of the items that were on your list. Well, seller B is now going on my computer, and whenever I'm going to that store, I'm looking up their store every time to see. Basically, it's like they're teammates with you and they don't know, right? So that's storefront stalking on steroids. But that's how RA can be so successful, is like For Walmart, I have a list of 3 sellers that I use. For Target, I have a list of sellers. For Lowe's, I have a list of sellers. For every store that I go to, I have a list of sellers. I use Keepa. I pull up their stuff. I make my grocery list, and then I go out and I go on the hunt. And if you just do that, man, if you're not doing like 20, 30K, you will be in a short amount of time. If you just do that and continuously like make that part of your battle rhythm, you'll be just fine. So
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
yeah, no problem.
Vernon, quick question for you because I got disconnected for a second.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure I heard you right. So you're going to take your best ASIN and you're going to look for other sellers who are selling that and then storefront stalk and try to build a list based off of what you find when you're storefront stalking?
Right. So yeah. So an example. So if I was brand new and, you know, a lot of people complain that they're gated and like everything or whatever the case, but if I was brand new and everybody in America probably has a Dollar General that's near them, right? So I'd go to Dollar General, and for the first time you would have to scan because you have to find an item that's going to be decent. Well, it doesn't have to be like a home run item or anything like that, but just find a good item. And then if it was worth you buying, take that item home and then dissect that. Find out who else is selling that item, because if you found it from Dollar General, chances are other people are going to find that from Dollar General as well, right? That's just kind of how the game works. So I would pull up all those sellers. I would run all their stores through Keepa. I would pull up their best items, and then I would make a grocery list of that. Next time I go to Dollar General, you know, I say grocery list, but just a list to go hunt for. And I would go down every aisle and try to find and put together those packs that they had bought, and see if the math actually works up, because sometimes sellers are just bad and like they're just buying dumb stuff, and I'm just scratching my head like, is this a wholesale deal, or like what are they thinking with this? But you're going to find some stuff, like some people are really smart and they found really good items that you may have not have found. So you find those items and then you save those storefronts for whenever you go to Dollar General. You have seller A and B, you know, and you know that when you go to Dollar General, you're going to pull up a Keepa search of their items, a fresh list, and then go and shop the store with those lists. And it'll be a much faster list, and it'll be probably a lot more profitable than if you were just to scan the whole store, because they already have the answers. They've already found the items. Now you're just going there and just kind of piggybacking off of somebody else's work. So, which is, I mean, whether you like it or not, like somebody's doing that to your store probably as well, right? So it's just all competition and how fast you can actually move through items. And that's a really effective way to do it. So. Oh, I think maybe you got disconnected again.
All right, Vernon, can you hear me?
Yep.
All right. Actually, I don't even know why I can't hear you. You're really low, but so I assume you just finished that discussion about how to go through the storefront, right?
Yes, that's correct.
All right, perfect. I'm on my phone, so I apologize. I don't know what's up with my internet. And I can't see the question. So if you dropped the question, I think somebody was asking a question about Keepa when I got disconnected. Can you just hop on and actually ask it? Because I can't see the old comments.
Hey, Vernon, I got a question.
Yeah, what's
so
up?
we know how to storefront stalk with Seller Amp. We learned that from Miles and stuff. How do you look up the stores? You keep talking about it in Keepa. What process do you do to see those?
Yeah, man. So if you go to the Keepa Data Product Finder, right? Are you familiar with that?
Yeah.
Okay. So just go there, and then you're going to scroll down, and then eventually it's going to say like seller, and so you have your item pulled up in Seller Ramp. You have all the stores that are selling the same thing that you're selling. You put all of those stores into Keepa where it says seller, and then you put all the criteria for what you want to see. So maybe for best sellers rank, you only want it to go up to 200,000, and you want stuff that sells 50 times a month. You put in like all your criteria with that, and then you hit search, and it'll pull up all those storefronts at one time. And if it was an item that you got from Dollar General and all those sellers you believe buy from Dollar General, it's going to pull up all their best items. So then that is your list to go to the store and actually hunt those products with. Does that make sense?
Awesome. Yeah, that's a great tip. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, anybody else that had dropped a question in the chat? I think I just saw somebody ask about a stock checker. Sorry, I switched back from my phone to my computer again, so I don't know who that was though. And also, if you didn't get access to the notes yet, feel free to drop your email in there. I've been adding people over time, but you can drop them back in there if you haven't received it yet. All right, so while we wait for more people to drop more questions, I had a question. So we talk about bundles, and I know Miles talks about bundles a lot. But what is your process for that, right? You found, a great shampoo that sells really well. How are you finding the bundles? Like, what does that look like? Are you looking for them before you get into the store, or if you find an item, you're trying to figure out if there's a bundle? What does your process look like?
Yeah, so bundles are pretty much going to be out of play for anybody that goes in there and just is scanning stuff. It's probably not going to pull up for you. So there's a couple of different ways to find bundles. So one is what I said with using Keepa. That's going to be a huge one, is like other stores that have found those bundles. You can piggyback off of their success and try to find and make those bundles yourself. Another way that you can do it is just go down like the shampoo aisle and you just type in. So say like you have a Dove shampoo, and or whatever brand you can sell, but we'll just use, like, say it's a Dove product. So you just type in Dove like shampoo and then whatever like scent it is or whatever. And instead of scanning it, it's going to pull up every single one, in Amazon, or if you're shopping for Walmart or whatever the case, but it will start populating different listings that are actually on there. And then you just see like 2-pack or 3-pack, or you can type that in for Amazon right there whenever you're in the aisle. And that's kind of how you find some of the bundles, is like if you say Dove shampoo 2-pack, see what comes up, see if any of that stuff's in your aisle and if it actually makes sense with how much you're paying for it versus how much you would actually profit. So that's a couple of different ways to be able to find the bundles. The storefront stalking method would probably be my favorite, just because that's going to be faster and I like to have the answers to the test before I go. But if I have to do that, like in a store or whatever the case, I'm not above that either, because however I can make money for my family, I'm all about it. So if I was new, I would just go down an aisle that you think could be profitable or something that you would like to sell. Maybe it's outdoor equipment. We're coming into hunting season right now. I know I'm buying stuff for hunting season right now. So just go down the hunting aisle because people are going to be scooping that stuff up. And I would just start typing in some of those brands that you can sell and seeing what makes sense, what's bundled. Maybe there's different arrows that are bundled, or maybe, hunting gloves or hats or whatever the case. Like maybe there are 2-packs or 3-packs or something like that. So that's kind of how you find that stuff, is you type it into Amazon in the aisle versus just like scanning stuff.
Perfect. So another one that popped into my head, I got a bunch of questions. I love this. We were talking about this earlier. So you mentioned Ollie's, and maybe there's some nuance to this, but I just want to make sure I understand. So you said you love Ollie's. I love Ollie's too. I was actually just there Tuesday. You mentioned Walmart and eBay, but you didn't mention Amazon. Is there something about Ollie's that makes you stay away from Amazon, or am I missing something?
Right. Yeah. So I make quite a bit of money on Amazon every single month. And the quickest way to not make money on Amazon is for your account to get shut down. So I don't want anybody to ever say that some of my stuff was fake, counterfeit, whatever the case, and then I don't have a receipt to prove that. And if you look at the Ollie's receipts, they don't always say the item, or they don't really have a code or whatever, that the Amazon worker may agree with. So I don't want to have any like unnecessary dings or anything on the account. I have other stores that I can source for making money on Amazon. So I just stick to Walmart or eBay with that, because if Walmart ever comes back and says like, hey, this receipt doesn't count, your account's suspended, it's not going to be thousands of dollars a month that I'm losing out on with that. So I'm willing to take like the risk versus reward with that. Whereas Amazon, I'm a lot more picky on my account with that, and I'm not going to do anything to jeopardize it.
Interesting. Okay, I hadn't even considered that. I'm sitting here trying to find my Ollie's receipt to see.
Yeah, if you got a receipt, man, it doesn't always like clearly state what you're actually buying there.
Yeah, I mean, and Ollie's is all right. So this is a grocery outlet. That's grocery outlet. That was my first time out RAing in like a couple of weeks because the kids have been at camp. All right, here's Ollie's. Oh man, what is this? The receipt says item 670577. Description NA. It's like, what is that? That's great. Okay, I did not realize that.
So, I mean, will it ever happen to where they'll come and call your bluff on that? Maybe not, but I'm just not willing to chance it. So whenever I go to Ollie's, it's more of a fun thing for me, and it's to
Right.
stock up for stuff for Walmart because the ROI is phenomenal. And then eBay as well. You can find a lot of stuff to move on eBay. And Ollie's, I mean, they have really good prices, but just their receipts and everything like that, I don't mess with that whenever it comes to Amazon. I think we got another question come in.
Yeah. So wait, let's see, what was it? We discussed this coming in late. Oh, and I think she's actually talking about what this is. Who's that? Oh, that's Keisha. So she's asking, do you have any problem sourcing from places like Marshalls, TJ Maxx, Ollie's versus a Walmart or a Target?
And I think he just answered it. I was just in his last answer.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it depends on the receipt for me, right? So I like Amazon, I know accepts stuff from Walmart or like any of the major stores like that. You get into TJ Maxx and Marshalls and stuff, it gets a little bit more sketch, but it's all risk versus reward. As far as that goes, I mean, you can find some great stuff at those stores, but those aren't stores that I use very often. So instead of that, if that was your go-to, I would say Kohl's would be a really good one to switch over to. Their receipts are, they have very professional receipts that they have, and you can find some really good stuff at Kohl's as well. Especially whenever they have their 80% off clearance sales, that's one of my go-to spots. So I'd highly recommend like switching over to that if you have one nearby. So
Okay, perfect. Mark, I see you got your hand up. Is it just Mark? Gina there too? You solo?
No, she's putting the kids to bed.
All right, cool.
Just
What do
me,
you got?
So I have a question. So you talk about going to Walmart a lot, and we do buy from Walmart a lot as well. What is the pros of doing Walmart RA versus OA? Because I just buy it and get delivered to my house, and I don't have to go. Is there things in store that?
No, I mean, so you can. You're also going to have stuff that doesn't show up online that is actually in the store. Have you ever ran into that?
I don't go there. That's why I'm here.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess that would be one of the pros is like whenever you go in store, you're going to have access to stuff that not everybody has access to, especially whenever it comes to the clearance aisle. Not like super often do I go down the clearance aisle and like, make $500 or $1,000, but it has happened before to where you can make $1,000 at one Walmart just by going in store. Whereas online, I don't know if you would have had that same stuff, but OA is completely fine for Walmart. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Me, I like getting out of the house. I live in a small town. Like I don't have any neighbors around me or anything like that. So whenever we go into town and stuff like that, we get the kids out and just go in store, like handle business. And then we shop for like RA stuff as well. So it's just kind of like more of a habit for me, but I wouldn't say that it has like huge perks other than you're going to be able to find stuff. And I'm only competing with people in a small town versus online. You're competing with everybody that sees those same listings. So yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
Thanks.
Question for you, and maybe it's just, I just need to understand. So you travel a lot. You're in an RV. So does that mean a lot of RAing and then you're going to ship it into FBA, or what does your process look like around picking up?
No, so we don't do the RV thing. We have a van, so we use a transit van. It's actually super hard to find a cargo van that actually has more than 2 seats, but we have 3 boys, so we had to get one with 5 seats, and we'll take that, and then we'll just sleep in a hotel or whatever where we go. But I mean, the cargo van is massive, so we could probably source like 20-30 grand worth of stuff, and then that's on a 2 or 3 day trip, and then take it back to the house and package it all up, and we do a lot of FBA. But I'm one that I don't shy away from FBM as well. I think there's a lot of money in FBM, and I think that depending on the item and stuff, it can move a heck of a lot faster for you than if you ship it in FBA. So we have like a 50-50 split. So if anybody's like super new on here, FBA is fulfilled by Amazon, and then FBM is fulfilled by merchant, which is like us sending it out either UPS or USPS or FedEx. So I do both of those. I think a lot of people get confused on what kind of business we're in too, because on social media and YouTube and stuff, it's just advertised so much that you want to look for profits, higher ROI, like all that stuff. But really, you got to focus on your cash flow as well. A lot of new people don't understand that whenever you send out $1 in this business, it's going to take you 60 to 90 days to see that money back, with any kind of return. So like for an example, I spend $10 today. That same $10, Amazon's not going to pay me back for 60 days. So I have to continue to send out money. So if you do FBA, fulfilled by Amazon, that's going to extend that journey of your money coming back to you. Whereas FBM, I could buy an item, I could list that item and have it sold before I ever even leave the store. So your money's coming back to you a lot faster. So your cash flow is going to be better with FBM. So I'm not opposed to do either one, but I like the time freedom of FBA to where I can be on vacation for 2 weeks and I'm still making a lot of money, and I can turn off like sending items to customers. So I think they both have their perks, but that's kind of how we do it though. Is usually we get like a huge haul of stuff and then we just bring it back to the house, process everything. My wife's parents help us out as well. They process quite a bit of our stuff for us. And then, we either buy them dinner or like slide them some money or whatever, but they help us out quite a bit with that. And then it's just putting in the reps, right? So I can process $20,000 worth of stuff and it'll be processed in a day now. Whereas whenever I was new, you can't necessarily do that, but now we've just gotten so used to it and we have all the supplies and everything, and it just goes super quick. So I know that's a long answer to your question, but that's kind of how our process works, is just buy all the items, process them in, and then rinse and repeat.
Right. No, and I mean, I think that's important to hear in the detail. It makes a lot of sense. So when you're on the road, do you ever ship stuff, or it's always just grab it and then take it back to the house and process it?
No, so we live in South Georgia, and I've been all the way up to like Maryland and sourced up there and stuff. And then I have a really good friend of mine. He's a store manager in a store in Oklahoma, and I go out to see him at least once a year. So we travel all over, but usually it's just, locking the stuff up in the van and then just waiting until we get home. It's usually only like maybe a 4 or 5 day trip for some of the longer trips that we take. Or if it's just me, like I can be out and back in a couple of days, and then we have our whole spend, for like 2 weeks. We're good on spend and everything just because we got everything that we need. We process that in and then we enjoy our life until the next run. So that's kind of how it works.
Right. Now, for you, are you, because you travel a lot, are you planning your trips and then putting in RA, or are you planning RA and then basing your trip around where you're trying to shop?
Yeah, so depending on the distance that I go, it depends on what I'm trying to source. So if I know that like Kohl's is having their clearance sale and everything's going to be, basically 80% off. So the clearance sale that Kohl's has, basically all their clearance stuff that they have is now 50% off on top of what it was already discounted. So if you're doing OA, that stuff gets picked apart super quick. Like you can find some good stuff on Kohl's, but it's not going to be a ton of great stuff. But if you go in store, it's like a freaking gold mine. That's like the dream of RA, is going into a Kohl's whenever they're having their clearance sale. You would have to really not be good at RA whatsoever, or like be gated for everything to not find some good stuff there. Like there's always good stuff. So with those trips, I'm like, okay, well, I hit South Georgia last time, so now I'm going to go up to North Georgia, or now I'm going to South Carolina, and I'll just pick a big city and then hit all their Kohls in that area, then go to another big city, hit all those Kohls, and you just try to knock out as many as you can within a day and a half or 2 days, and then I'll head back once either the van is completely full or we spent the money that we want to spend, and we feel like the sales getting dwindled down and it's just not worth it anymore. So that's kind of how we do it. For Walmart stuff, whenever the Legos hit, I just stayed local area because I live in a small town. So I just hit all the local small Walmarts. And I mean, my spend there was usually like $500 to $1,000 at each Walmart, because they just had so many Lego sets on sale and there was no competition here to be able to scoop those things up. Nobody knew like it was going on until all the Legos were already bought up by me or other people that were doing it. So, Yeah, that's kind of how it works. Or if I'm going to like a grocery outlet, or I'm going to a new place, or whatever, then sometimes those trips are a little bit further. It just really depends on what sale is going on. But I would say I base it more on the sales, and then also how often I've picked that area over. So if I went to an Ollie's, the next time I'm going to Ollie's, I'm going to go to a different Ollie's. I'm not going to go to the same one because I already know that I got everything from there, So
Right.
that's how.
So we are, we're coming up on 10 o'clock, and I want to be respectful of the time. So if you guys have additional questions, drop them in the chat. I can go on all night because your business is super intriguing to me. Let's see. Let's go to Kohl's. Let's go to Kohl's Saturday here in Vegas. This Saturday? That's short notice, bro. Come on.
At least I give you an extra day. Vernon needs to travel a little bit.
It's funny because my kids they started school this week, so it's like I called this like freedom. I was vlogging like, hey, this is like I feel free. And I was in Ollie's and Grocery Outlet on Tuesday, so that was a good time. But we definitely got to make it move. And you out there with Mike and the family out there, so I love what you guys are doing on the RA side. Anybody else? Any other questions? I'll sprinkle in a couple more. If not, but
yeah, if we run a little bit over like that, that's completely fine. I want to make sure that everybody's getting a good investment on their time this evening. So yeah, like I said, I'm an open book. So any questions that you have, just drop them, and don't leave here tonight not knowing something. Make this valuable, and definitely respect your time that you spent tonight with us. So make sure that you get your questions answered. But if we go a little bit over, that's completely fine.
All right, cool. And it's funny. So while we wait for anybody, we were gonna hit that, Steve. But go ahead, Vernon, if you want to drop your socials, I'll also add it to the call notes when I clean those up a little bit later.
Yeah, so you can. So I'm. Honestly, like I took a break from social media because I feel like that's such a distraction on time. I try to be as like efficient with my time as I possibly can. Social media was taken away from that. But recently I got back on Facebook. If you just search Vernon Johns, my name, you should be able to find me. I don't have any special like FBA or flips or anything like that. It's just my name. And then the picture will be of me and my family. And then on Instagram, I share stuff from Facebook to like Instagram. But if you send me a message, I'll see it. But it's Ask Vernon Johns is the Instagram on there. So you can find me. And that's just because I think Vernon Johns was like taken or something. So that's how you would find me there. Yeah. And then if anybody's in Miles's group, if you have coaching with him, I'm in that group as well. So you can send me a message, and then I'd love to answer any questions you have there as well.
And what is it? It's the picture of you with your family on Facebook? I'm trying to find you.
Yeah.
I don't know. I grab it from you later because I'm not able to find
Okay.
it.
Yeah, we'll try to add in the exact one later.
Yeah.
So if anybody wants to reach out and they don't have access to like through Miles Group or whatever, you have access to me. That's fine.
And I'll include that link too for you on Miles's group for sure. So that'll be cool. And I just forgot my other question. Oh, so one of the things we were talking about a little bit earlier is just, it was funny. So I'll give you the context and the backstory. So I was on a live stream with Reezy Resells. It was like a week ago. He was talking about Amazon Influencer Program, and I was asking questions, and he was like, oh, guys, go follow Gap Camp. I really love his content. He's really passionate, blah, blah, blah. And he's like one of the only guys who shows his ASIN. I don't know why he does it, but he shows his ASIN. So go follow him. He's a good dude. And I was like, oh, I'm going to make a video about this to explain why I show my ASINs. And I made this video today, and then I'm on the phone with Vernon, and he's talking about the same thing about like sharing information, and that a lot of people don't follow up on information when they get it. And that's mainly the reason why I can share ASINs. Like I love like seeing people when they're in a grocery outlet or they're at some store and they're getting like a whole shopping cart full, and they kind of show it, and I'm like, oh, I got to go on a scavenger hunt to try and figure out what that is. Or they do show it, and it's like, oh, this is selling, and the video is not from like 8 months ago. Like, I want to go buy that. So that's an exciting video. But also, I know, because a lot of you have heard me tell this story, There'll be some times when you're on a call and there's leads, nobody buys them. I've given people leads, no one buys them. So you don't really take a risk when you do it. So one of the things Vernon and I was talking about earlier is that one of the reasons we wanted to do this call is to help people take action. And so if there's something he can unlock for you, some challenge he can help you get past, some fear he can help you overcome, that's one of the main reasons why he's on this call today. And the main reason why I continue to do these calls for us to talk about the things that you're struggling with, you want to get better at, bring the people on who are already killing it to help you get to that next level.
Yeah, for sure. One of the main things that I think a lot of new people overlook is the power of a repricer. If you don't have a repricer in your business, that if you just have 10 ASINs or like 15 ASINs, it's going to pay for itself. So it doesn't matter if it's Be Cool or Aura or like what your repricer is, just make sure that you get one set up for your business, because essentially like every 15 minutes it's repricing your stuff to be competitive. And I think that that's going to be really huge. And then I can't talk enough about Keepa as well. If you don't understand the ins and outs of Keepa, that should be your mission in life. Like this week is just understand like how powerful that tool is. I think it's like $22 a month or something like that we pay for it. And just the different uses that you can, use it for and just kind of unlock is just insane on that. So definitely those two tools I would say are going to be huge for beginners. And then you need to get around people that are like-minded as well. If you don't have 2 or 3 friends in this business that you're talking to very often, that's super important. Brian's been that guy for me. Now we talk about just about everything, but just having somebody that's actually like striving to better themselves and just continue to push forward in this business. And I mean, he's doing it at a high level now as well. And he's taught me a ton, but just having those people, even if they aren't as far along as you are, or maybe they're a little bit further along than you are, you can just learn so much from each other, and it just keeps you in the game long enough to get good at this thing to where eventually you are doing it full time. And then it's like, I don't know, I wake up every day now and I'm just like, yeah, I'm ready to hit it. I don't have to wake up at 5:30 every morning, but I'm just excited to start my day and like see what the day holds and everything. And that's because I got to that level because I was around people that were doing it at a high level, and I know that they continue to do that. So that's some huge things that you can really take action on, is just reach out to those guys or girls and just build those relationships and stuff. And that's what's going to help you through the hard days, and then also celebrating your victories in this thing as well.
Yeah, and Brian, great point. You need somebody to help you, help hold you accountable. So having a friend or a few friends is going to be that for you. All right. Well, listen, it seems like we've kind of run through all the questions. I've asked all of my questions, so I'm excited about that. And you really did hit me with a couple of things that I need to think about, especially around those bundles and the way that storefront stalking. So thank you for that. Anything else you want to cover before we get out of here? I know we talked a little bit earlier about bringing you back down the road, so I'm looking forward to that. When you're ready. But I want to thank you for coming, helping to get the team on the road for RA, whether you're doing it already or you're just trying to get started. Brian, thanks for the connection. We got a couple of things coming up. We'll get your call on the calendar and that other stuff we've been talking about. But hey, I hope you guys learned a lot. We will have a replay for this. This will be up tomorrow. And if you're looking for any other calls, let me know. We will be booking more calls for next week and in the following weeks. Q4 is coming, like Brian keeps pounding in my head. So we got to get ready and go get this money.
Yeah, just a couple more really quick things. I value y'all's time. Is one, if you haven't read Profit First, that is going to be key. That is a super good book, Profit First, and then there's one for e-commerce as well. I'd recommend both of those. I didn't know that I was actually doing like a Profit First model, but now I follow that to a T, and that's really helped me to grow, because this is a cash flow business. It is not just a profit business. Like, you can't just look at ROI all the time. You have to look at how much money you're dumping into this thing. And it's going to take time for your money to come back to you. So you need a system for how much money you spend, how much, sales that you have coming in and stuff like that. Make sure your money's coming back to you and it's not just always going out, so you can eventually pay yourself. That's going to be huge. So that's going to be a big one. And then if anybody is super serious about this business and you want to take it to the next level, you should have a freedom number for yourself of like, hey, I want to make this much money in this business, and then break that down of how much money you need to spend monthly profitably to be able to actually hit that number. And that gives you something to wake up for and chase every single day. And that's really what did it for me. You know, I was like, if I could just make $10,000 in this business, I would never have to worry about money again. And then I did the math and I actually broke it down, what it would actually take to do that. And then you just kind of build those blocks, you know, up. And it may be more money, or maybe you're not making that much on your job and, you know, your number's only $5,000. Like, you're not that far away from doing it. But if you don't have that number, it's easy to just wander around in this business and not take it serious. But once you realize like the numbers that you need to hit and stuff, you have something to go to work for every day. And that's just super powerful. So that's the advice that I give everybody on the call. And I think that if you take action on those things, that you'll take this thing to the next level.
All right, perfect. And I'll have that book linked in the document. So give me a little bit of time. I'll get all these notes in the sheet. I'll get you Michael's socials too. And like I said, we'll have the replay and we'll get that next call with Paolo up for next week. All right, everybody. Thanks again. Really appreciate you guys dropping in. Vernon, masterful call. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much, guys.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me. Y'all have a great night, guys.
Bye.